Okay, I'm back. Had to grab some pins. Okay, so now you have two pieces that look something similar to this. You can do a number of things. I'm not actually going to sew this together. I'm going to show you what I can do with these two pieces. So you have two lengths that you're going to use, usually having trim on either of the width, either end of the width. So you can, to do Her Majesty's coat or Majesty's dress, what I did was I took this trim piece, and this is going to become what is currently the side is going to actually become the middle of the dress. So what you want to do is you want to take a couple of pins, and you're going to pin this to the shoulder, leaving yourself maybe half an inch or so for seam allowance. This is how I did Her Majesty's dress again. This is for a child, so I'm actually not going to do this completely, but you could do it on a child if you just want to leave it up high. You're going to pin this where you want the start of the dress to be, and this will become the neckline of the dress. You're going to do the same thing on the other side, and you'll start to see what I mean by what I'm saying about the neckline of the dress. And this will become the neckline, like so. Now, what you're going to do is do the same thing in the back. I'm going to spin this baby around so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to pin this in the back. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to pin here, right at the shoulder. Again, leaving yourself a little bit of a seam allowance. Get a couple more pins. And you're going to take the other side of this loose piece, and you're going to do the same thing and pin it right to the shoulder edge. So what was the sides of your fabric has now become the middle of the dress. In the back, you want to make sure that you leave it pretty high, pin it up pretty high so that it doesn't fall off the shoulders when they're wearing it. So you're going to pin this together fairly high. So now you have the base design for what we're working with. And what you're going to do, so you can see this, is you're going to take this and you're going to sew from where you've pinned. You can pin it together right there if you want to, and you're going to sew all the way down to the edge. Now you can do this two ways. You can actually sew it and leave a little seam. You won't have to worry about too much of it because it's not going to ravel or fray on you because it's the edge of the fabric. It's already done on the selvage. What I typically do is lay this flat and I do a zigzag stitch and I flat fell it. Which, if you're not sure what that means, go ahead and Google it, or I can explain it to you a little bit. You basically just put the two pieces together with a just barely touching, and go ahead and do a zigzag across the whole width of the edge, and it puts it together and it leaves it nice and flat. So you're going to do that in the front and the back, pretend like it's already done. And then we're going to start doing the shoulders. And I'm going to bring it closer so you guys can see what I'm doing. Hopefully this still is focused. Let me check and just make sure. Adjust it for you. Okay, hopefully that works out. Okay, so what I then did for Her Majesty's dress is that I just started pleating, and I prefer pleating away from the neckline so that it doesn't leave. If you pleat towards, it's going to leave like a nice it's going to leave a bit of a bump towards the front, and it adds fullness, and I'd rather take away fullness. Most people don't want to add fullness to anything. So I'm just going to start finger pinching and pleating this at the right at the shoulder. And you want to do it maybe, maybe 2 or 3 inches. Not too much. Most people's shoulders are not super wide. But however wide you want to do it. And you're just going to pin it in place. I'm doing it very messily right now, but you know, try to be as neat as possible. And I just put a couple pins in to pin it, keep it in place. And then I'm gonna do the same thing to the back. I'm just pleating the same width. Now, this is on a child, so it's the same width as I would be using on an adult, so I'm going to end up with more fabric. I can do one of two things. Sorry, I pleated the wrong way. Make sure you're pleating away from the neckline, not towards the neckline. You can do one of two things with a child, or if you have an extra width. What you can do is, right here, you're going to go ahead and you can either do a zigzag stitch and leave a little bit of the frayed edge. You can hem it. You can do a number of things. Just make sure that whatever you're doing, it's not going to start raveling on you later on. Normally, this would get pleated all the way up on an adult because of the width. Obviously, you're going to need more width for an adult fabric. So it's going to end up, when you pleat, being more. And it will end up leaving just a little bit of a sleeve hole. But on a child, you can actually hem this piece. And then you can attach it here and leave a hole so they'll have like a little shoulder opening. It's up to you. Just depends on what you want to do. You're going to do the same thing on the next side. On the other side, you're going to go ahead and pleat. And then once you're all pleated, I usually take a needle and thread and go ahead and baste this while it's on the dress form. And then I sew the pieces together, just like a regular seam with the selvages on the inside. Right at the shoulder at the width of the pleating that I did, and that makes a shoulder seam on both sides. And that's pretty much it as far as making the basic of the dress. It's fairly simple. It ends up looking really pretty, obviously, and you can, you know, adjust the neckline to suit your needs. That's one way of doing this dress out of a sari, and I'll show you a different way. I'm going to take all these pieces out. Because this is an overdress, you'd be wearing something underneath it. You can actually make this shorter than what you would normally. So even if you're not a short person, if you want to use the width of the dress, you can use this trim at the top. You can make it as wide or as short as you want. And all you do is use it as traditional fabric. And you just make a little bit of a neckline here. Pin it in place. You can use a person if you don't have a dress form. It does help. You're going to pin it in the back the same. You will then use a couple of pins and figure out how wide you want the shoulder seams. Make them, go ahead and attach them, sew them up. Because you're now using these edges as the shoulders, you want to make sure that these match up. You can then tack them at the ends and do several stitches and sew up the sides, and it becomes a regular, very full chiton that you can blouse up, which actually with this one it looks really pretty because of the stripes are going down. You can do another sort of design with this, which is a little bit more involved, and I'm not going to cut the fabric, but I'm going to show you what you can do. You can actually take this and make these stripes so that there are dual stripes down the front and back of the dress. So you would take this, and if you want the stripes to come at the shoulder, you can pin it here, wrap this around the back of the dress, to here. Then you're going to do the same thing on this side, and you're going to flat fell the seams. But what you're going to do is you're going to take this piece and you're going to cut it in half lengthwise, so that you end up with half of this and only one trim. And then you're going to take the piece, so it'll end up looking like this. Let me show you. Hopefully I'm not too close. Move away a little bit. You're going to end up with a piece that looks like this. So you're going to take this piece, it's not going to be folded, this will be a selvage edge, and you're going to flat fell it or seam it to this piece right here, so that you end up with another stripe there. And then you're going to take this and move it around to the front. So you'll end up with 2 seams. That piece that you took from the other piece that looks just like this, you're going to take the trim off. You're going to end up with just a pink piece, or whatever color your dress is. You're going to put that right in the front as the front piece. And then you're going to take that trim that you cut off and you're going to use it on the back right here. You'll applicate it right down on the stripe, and you'll end up with 2 stripes in the front. Something like, see if I can make you see what it looks like. You'll end up with 2 stripes in the front and 2 stripes in the back. More of a Byzantine type style. You'll be putting a stripe right down that side right there. And you're going to again start attaching it at the corners. It's fairly simple, just play around with it. There's a lot of different designs that you can do. If you want to do the kind where the peplus falls over the top, you can again just make sure that you add extra fabric on. You double this over, you fold it like this, and that's where you attach it, like that. And again, because it's a sari, it's already all decorated for you. You don't have to worry about it. It's all done for you. You just have to do the fabric. It takes literally maybe an hour at the most to make this dress. It's all about the draping and the pleating. I do a little bit of pleating on an adult dress at the breast, just under the breast, because it just makes it fall better. But you don't have to. They didn't traditionally do that. It's totally just my thing. I just like it better, especially on a girl that's busty. It just falls better. But you would take this, pin it where you want it to be, do your pleating. So you end up with something like that. Obviously very messy. I usually do really small pleats, 1/4 of an inch or smaller. Do the same on the back, so you end up with a little armhole. And then in the front here, I would actually do mirror the pleating that's at the shoulder. So if I have the end of my pleat here, I just start pleating this right here. I tack it right to the dress form, right under the breast, and then I will do a line of basting stitches right here, which I will then go over with a regular stitch and just leave it in a matching color so it's really hard to see. The belt will cover it up, but it gives you just a little bit of definition there, and it helps not look so fluffy. So that's basically it. If anybody has any questions, just let me know and I'll be happy to help.